Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Pre-Market Info.
Market rallying here again. We're up 3.5. Joel, what? Well, if you slept in yesterday morning, you probably missed the sell-off because it didn't last long.
Right, opened up under the 1540 level. Never looked back. Last night when I was getting ready to send out the notification of our webinar this morning, I was like looking at those tops up there at 52 and a half, Monday's high and Friday's close, and I was thinking, man, is this going to be major resistance again, or are we just going to blow through it and continue on? And not much of a sell-off overnight. We do have the good level to keep an eye on, though. 1552.50 was yesterday's high.
There's always a stock picking up the slack. Yesterday the financials were beat up, obviously, early on the Cyprus news. But Apple, if you bring that stock up, opened up near the lows and just started running. And obviously at the end of the day, up over $15 or $13, $14. Bring up yesterday's chart there too, Joel. This morning it's up another $4 here. So obviously yesterday had the big run up. You can see all day strong, strong, strong. Overnight here it's strong again. Pre-market it's up another $3.50 here. Apple is marching.
Right, pre-market high 460.43. I mean, it opened up lower, couldn't even get under the 440 level, took off. A couple key levels to look at in Apple today. 460.43, of course, the overnight high, so that is a minor resistance. For you Apple bulls out there, 462.73 was our high on February 19th, and then I'm sure some of your listeners want to hear my next number, 470.16.
Whoa.
That was the high. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in there, Dennis.
Go show us out on the chart there, Joel. Where are you looking that there's nothing? We got the pre-market chart up there.
I always say there's nothing, but
I want you to show me.
Show you the money.
Show me
Okay,
show me where the air
money
is.
Okay, you had a day here where you had a 459.39 close, right?
Yeah.
But the day before that, the high was 470.16.
So that's where your air is.
On the day when you had the close,
yep.
You had just it opened up flat and tanked that day, but the day before that, 470.16, and then above that, 471.64. So not sure if it could get there today, but that's a major resistance point in Apple. If you're looking to buy this on a pullback, I guess you got to hope to see the close, but that's still $3-4 away from here.
Yeah, the relative strength in Apple is now strong. The whole thing has turned really 3 or 4 days ago. Obviously, when Google started selling off, Apple started rallying. Money has been flowing out of other stocks and back into Apple here, and it's just marching here now. What about Google, Joel?
Well, I bought my iPhone. I did all I could to help the market.
Yeah, you did, and you actually, the time you bought your iPhone, the time you were going to write that blog, looks like it was going to be the bottom there when the stock was trading down the 420s. So, been a nice march here. Not so much for Google. It got down yesterday, almost kissed that 800 level, got down to 801.47 before closing fairly strong. It's up another dollar here this morning at 809. Getting a little bit of a bounce here off that 800 just from yesterday.
Kind of tough to pick this one. The numbers just aren't sticking out like they are in the Apple. The only thing we need to alert our traders to here is that you do have a small gap to fill between Monday's high, 812.76, and Monday's low, 813.34, and 812.76. Got a small gap to fill there. After that, things open up to the $820 level.
Bring up an overnight chart on Dow there, Joel, because there was some action in Dow last night. It's actually not really trading up much here now, but you can see after hours last night, Bloomberg released just an article saying that Blackstone is mulling to potentially outbid Silver Lake for Dow. This had been rumored already, so I think everybody that bought it obviously was thinking there was maybe something more imminent. Nothing's materialized, factual, since it was still just a rumor, which was already a rumor. So, but you can see after hours, if you can point it out there, obviously the stock got up into that 1460, 1470 there last night. Has now given back the entire gain, trading only at 1423. So if you come in, look at Dow, it's doing nothing, but it had an interesting after hours session.
You got the 1469 here in the
After
pre-market. Pop
hours, yeah.
back down, holding after hours. 1420 is holding. Dennis, we've been arguing about this one since 1360, 1370. You thought the takeout price was going to hold. I thought it was going to come out a little bit higher, but seems like these rumors come out and they don't last very long. So
Well, the shareholders are waiting to actually see something, see somebody step up and outbid. I mean, Icon's been kicking around. You've got now Blackstone has been kicking around. Lots of people rumored to be possibly going to outbid Silver Lake here, but it's just, like you said, it's not materialized. Nothing keeps materialized. So the rumor comes out, nothing, it happens, and then obviously the stock turns around and pulls back. So it's interesting here. It's at 14 and a quarter now, pulled back. I mean, you kind of got, if you look at it and you're buying it here, you're obviously banking on somebody obviously going to come in with a higher bid because the takeout price is actually lower than this right now. So, I
right.
guess the overall risk would be if Silver Lake ever, or if the LBO, didn't go through whatsoever and the stock pulled back to $11. But I don't think that's going to happen. So it's an interesting scenario here if you're
And
playing Dell.
Chanos is short. Jim Chanos is short.
Yep.
On a broken business model. You're not going to make money going against Chanos too much. But one fundamental note on on Dell, I do have a laptop. Cracked the screen on it. I don't know how the hell I did it, but I was on phone with customer service at 4 o'clock on one day. They were out the next day, took care of it for free. So very happy with the Dell customer service. Not sure what that does for the stock price.
I don't know if it does anything when all these takeouts are on the table. Lululemon, LULU, is down significantly here in the pre-market. They did give a Q1 sales warning, lowering their guidance to $3 lowering their sales guidance to 333 to 343 million for Q1. Sales guidance were up at 355 million. So Lululemon getting beat up on this news.
Yeah, boy, they got a little bit carried
News
away. The
algo.
news algos there, we like to pick on those news algos. Got under $51 here. Um,
51.
or excuse me, not 58, 58,
58.
60.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's the low. Got a nice rebound there. And just looking at this pre-market chart here, something's going on at 62, Dennis. I don't know if that's going to hold up to be resistance for the whole day, but the last couple pops we've got up to 62, just hovering here around 60.50. So that's your range is 60.50 to 62. Taking a look at the daily chart here. Wow, we got to get rid of the dailies. We
it's a
got to go
big
to the
breakdown for
weeklies
Lulu
on it.
today.
Yeah, big breakdown. For you bulls here, you do have a little shot here, 60.28. That was the low back in August of last year. Under that $60 level, things are really not a lot here between 50, 55, and 60. But a potential play for this, and just a potential play, is if they crush it off the open, they crush it down through 60, down to 59 handle. If they come back up through that 60 level, it might be a time because if you're trying to buy this on the way down, you're definitely going to puke it. Just try and buy it when you get some upward momentum.
Walgreens also reporting earnings here this morning. Stock beating 96 cents against estimates of 94. Little light on the revenue, 18.65 billion versus estimates of 18.72 billion. Doesn't matter though, stock is trading up here in the pre-market. 43.18 is where it's bid right now, so it's bid right up at the highs. Best offers up at 43.55. Very light volume of 1,800 shares, but this is
Yeah.
breaking out to a new high on the move.
So I kind of feel back coming on this one.
Uh-oh, what? You bullish
Let's
or
see.
bearish?
Oh, what am I
You're
always?
usually bearish, so and I'm usually
Yeah.
bullish, so
Yeah, so 42.91 has been the high of the move here, recent move. I'm really going to stick my neck out here on this one, but I don't think it opens over 43.
I think it's going to open over 43, so I'll take you all day long on that bet. It's been 43.18. Nobody's even sniffing them right now. You never know, though. There could be some. You're banking on a little bit of New York size, maybe holding it down at the 43 open.
Yeah,
There is a little bit there I can see in the book. Hasn't traded a lot of volume, so it's not a terrible bet on your part that it could open lower. But I think it opens higher, so I take the opposite side of that. So we'll have to
yeah, I'm
see.
giving you a layup because I know you've been so discouraged because I've been whooping your butt on all these bets
Ah,
lately.
It's because
I
I
got to
keep betting
tell
on
you
these
both.
pharmaceutical companies.
Let's talk about Merck.
I keep betting
No,
on these pharmaceutical companies, and I'm biased on that Merck. It's one of my biggest investments, not a trade, but I have one of my biggest investments. I was all excited when it was breaking out that day. It almost got to my 46 number, and then after the pre-market that day, it got up to 45.80. Obviously, I pulled back. When ex-dividend didn't help me, and then all of a sudden it's back down, and it looks like you're going to win that bet. So that Merck bet wasn't a good one, but an interesting chart though. It's now filled that gap, like you were saying there, Joel, that it had from the what was it? Or it's on that drug news. So it's
Yep.
filled the gap now. Is this looking like a potential long for you now?
I
Or?
think it's a low risk buy here. I would take a shot on it. I mean, I want to get into this whole thing here, but it did fill the gap. And just as a note, I mean, we weren't really planning on talking about this stock here, but a lot of times when you get big news like that and a big cap stock like that, it gaps up and takes a while to come back and fill the gap, and it did. So your Merck is on good support. So sorry to digress, Dennis. I got all excited when we were talking about making bets and stuff.
We do have your disaster stock of the day. It's AFFY again. We were talking about this one a couple weeks ago when they had their bad news on their one drug. More bad news overnight. They're now cutting 75% of their workforce. Actually talking about potentially that this actually could potentially look into a bankruptcy situation here. So it's somewhat concerning. That isn't imminent here by any means, but when you're cutting expenses, cutting the workforce, they're obviously now looking at having cash problems here too. So stock getting murdered here this morning is down another 57% at $1.24. So here's a stock that was actually $16 in the middle of February, so a month ago. This is now a buck 26. So wow, it's amazing how these one-trick ponies for these drug stocks. If you have one major drug, that's the majority of your revenue, and that drug's you get issues with it. You
Right.
could see a stock fall, basically 95% in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, also the CEO resigning probably doesn't help things either,
Nothing's
though.
helping it.
Yeah, we hit a buck, rallied up here a little bit, finding resistance at the 130 level. What do they say about stocks that go under a buck, right? Sometimes they never come back. But, I'm sure anyone that's been shorting this thing, even, on the big dip, that it had a couple weeks ago. I mean, it's still, if you're short the stock here and you want to get the other buck out of it and wait to go to zero, well, you can do that, or else you can take your profits here and putting it short something else like Google or something like that. But that $1, that's the only thing I can really say about this is support.
Yeah, you got a buck, and the stocks are getting under a dollar even when they're flirting with bankruptcy or whatever. They can get lifts, so it's always scary to short a stock because when you're shorting a stock, obviously under a dollar, the most it can go down is to zero. So you're basically, but your risk is a little bit higher if the stock obviously doesn't go bankrupt. If for whatever reason they start to get their drugs back in order here. But it's
Right.
always scary to obviously trade something like this. It's going to be volatile. And obviously, you're going to be having your shorts that are bringing in the stock here probably today as well. DSW earnings, Joel, they missed big time. 69 cents versus estimates of 72. Their guidance terrible. 2013 overall guidance $3.30 to 3.40. Estimates were up at 3.85. Stock absolutely murdered here in the pre-market.
Yeah, did get a dip on the initial news here down to the 60.45, even got a little bit lower than that. $60 could be supported in this thing. Get in a nice bounce off that low. Just currently sitting at 16.50. No one's really touching it here. I guess you have to take a look at the dailies here. Had a spike down here. You're all the way down in this area. I guess just keep an eye on where it's trading in the pre-market if you're looking to try along off this one. You did have a low at 59.43 back on November 12th or November 19th of last year. So there's your reference point on the downside. Coming back on the upside. I mean, these things can get crazy. A lot of air to fill even to get into yesterday's range.
We got a few big downgrades here today too. Deere getting downgraded at UBS. They're citing relative valuation, also expecting decline in corn prices, so they're not that bullish. These ag stocks Deer here trading down about a buck in the pre-market. It was down a little bit lower, now 91.07 bid. So not terrible morning here for Deer, but not great either.
Yeah, started to run into resistance above 92, 92 and a 40, half a double top here. Barely got over 92 yesterday. I mean, you're trading through yesterday's range here already. Yesterday's low was 91, so I would use that as a swing number. Coming down below the 91 level, got to keep an eye on this low here at 90.19. That could be support. You also had a low at 90 right on the button, but a lot of times these upgrades and downgrades, I mean, they do hit it in the pre-market, but some people just use it, as an opportunity to, cover positions in the stock. But 91 should be a good swing level here for Deere today.
Juniper getting downgraded to sell at Goldman Sachs. Man, Goldman's really been hanging it
Woo!
out there. Obviously, look at this Juniper range yesterday. That's going to be very interesting today because Juniper, obviously, with the Cyprus news, everything, I was trading down huge there yesterday morning. I can't believe you should look at yesterday's chart and just see how low that did get. Was there other news on? There must have been other news on Juniper yesterday. I don't think we covered it, but regardless, that stock obviously was trading down significantly. It's now low here in the pre-market as well, trading down almost $1 on this Goldman Sachs downgrade to sell.
Yeah, wow, 36,000 shares, but wasn't Goldman's target last year in the S&P's 1275?
It was
So
yeah, Goldman hasn't been
yeah,
didn't have a great year last year,
yeah.
obviously, but
Hope
usually Goldman's pretty good. But last year they were thinking the market was going to fall. I think when they were at mid-year and they thought the market was going to go down 10%, it went up another 10%. So
Abby
oops.
Joseph Cohn just signed off our pre-market webinar because I said that.
Hey,
I
we give
hope, I
Goldman
hope.
props. They usually do a pretty good job. They obviously are your most influential broker. They weren't 100% last year, but nobody can be right all the time.
Let's take a look at this Juniper though, because you're right, Dennis. Yesterday's low was 1901. Caught a bid here at 1908 and 1888 back in middle of December. You got it down a buck, and not a lot of volume. Going to test this $19 level.
Again.
I'm still looking at this as support. Of course, if it breaks through 19, you have some air, but I'd like to see what happens at this $19 level.
Yeah, I agree with you. It'll be interesting just because yesterday's range, it's going to almost mimic, looks like the range here again. Well, at least in the after hours session because it obviously closed high but going to open low here. But the $19 big for this stock. Coal's also getting downgraded here too. Joel KSS getting downgraded at Morgan Stanley. Stock trading down just on very light volume, only 500 shares, but is offered down too at 47.89. So looking like Coal's has been on a heck of a run, but starting to peel back here, and not a good morning for Coal's shareholder longs.
Yeah, you're getting into this. You're already taking this area out here. 47.45 was the low here. You do have it offered at that area. So that is as minor support here. And then you had a tight range day with the 46.92 low. So that 47 area could be support if this continues. Not a lot of volume, so it's kind of hard to really make an accurate assessment of what the pre-market activity is doing. It's had a nice run. Maybe it's just time that people are taking some profits on using this downgrade to sell the stock and maybe lay out some shorts.
That $46 looks absolutely huge to me. I don't think that comes into play
Yeah.
here today, but I'd love over the next few days if it got down to that area, maybe that's where you could try along because that's an interesting area. That $46. Procter and Gamble, you wrote a blog on this yet last night there, Joe. We've got it up on the Premarket Info website. You were talking, and we've been talking on this show about this 77.5 level for basically the last 2 weeks. Obviously, the stock couldn't get through that institutional selling pressure at 77.5. We know the high frequency guys kind of been feasting on them. They keep topping the stock out in the 77.40s. Last 2 days, the stock started peeling back here. It's not looking at that like it might not take that
It's
out.
still on support. I don't want to stick a fork in it yet here. Obviously, the trend has been up. Heavy volume on expiration Friday took it down quite a bit. Just you're testing this support here, and still 30 cents away. But you had a low at 75.56 back in March 1st, and then you got under 76 yesterday to 75.80. So I'm just thinking that this whole area, if this gets taken out, I could easily see the $75 level. And then, as you can see, there's quite a bit of
Yeah,
air
below that.
underneath
Yeah.
that. But, I mean, it's had to sell off. I mean, you just got to wait to see if it can hold that 75-80 level with the upward pressure on the spoos and everything today. It doesn't look like my PG puke is going to come to fruition.
Maybe not today, but I do agree with you. That 77.5, I'd love to get back up there. I actually shorted 3 or 4 times up there, scalping 20, 30 cents off of it a few times. Wish I'd held a little bit here because the stock's obviously looking weaker here now. For whatever reason, it gets back up to the 77s, though. I think there's
How
sellers
much
all over the
size
place.
was it? Was it one
Oh, it's like
institution or two?
300,000 up there at 77.5. That's huge for Procter and Gamble. So just enormous size up there. Somebody big dumping it, and everybody knows that. Like you get everybody that's bought the order book. They're looking at it. All the high frequency traders know it, and that's why the stock keeps topping out in 77.35, 77.40, 77.45 because they're leaning on that seller, that 77.5. So whoever that seller is, I don't know if it's one or two or if it's a few guys there, but big sellers like that get leaned on in this short-term, high-frequency trading world. I mean, they've always got leaned on, but they get leaned on even more now, is because everybody knows they're sitting there. Overall market thoughts here, Joel. We are still up 3.5 here today. Obviously, Apple was your driver. It seems like yesterday. What's going to be the driver today? Can we break out here and make new highs despite all the worries over in Cyprus?
I don't. I just don't see new highs for the move today. The high of the move has been 1558.75. The high close 1556. To me, I'm really concentrating on 1552.50. That was Monday's high, a buck under yesterday's close, 1553. I just think it's trading as low as we did under 1530, and then you just got a 20 buck rally between yesterday and the overnight and yesterday. I think some people are going to use this opportunity to sell into that 1553 level. If we can get above that, you got the high of the move coming
What is
back
the
on
high
the
of the
down.
move? What is the high of the move?
1558.75 is the high of the move.
1558.75.
Yep, yep. And coming back on the downside, you're only 4 points away from the close, 1546.75. So that should be good support.
That's our show for today, guys. Have a great trading session, and we'll be back with you tomorrow morning.